Have you ever seen someone abuse power so badly they end up exposing themselves in front of the whole neighborhood? That's exactly what happened on a quiet South Carolina street when a homeowners association president tried to stage her own version of law enforcement. But she had no idea the man she targeted wasn't just another homeowner. He was someone you never want to cross. Stick around because this story gets real fast. It was a calm Saturday morning in Greenville, South Carolina. The kind of morning where birds chirped, sprinklers hissed, and everything looked picture perfect. The kind of peace that made you forget how quickly things can spiral. Maxwell Stone stepped out of his brick house, trash bag in hand. He wasn't thinking about anything more than finishing chores before breakfast. But just as he reached the edge of his driveway, he stopped. Three figures stood waiting for him. Two men in black tactical-style vests flanked a woman with a stiff posture and a clipboard in hand. Patricia Lockwood, the neighborhood's infamous HOA president. The men's vests read Community Enforcement in white block letters. Their boots were scuffed, their straps loose, and their faces wore the smugness of people pretending to have authority. Maxwell had seen real enforcement before. He'd spent a career studying people who thought intimidation equaled power. These men didn't have that kind of discipline. They looked like actors who had rehearsed for a role they didn't understand. Patricia's voice sliced through the quiet morning. "Mr. Stone, we need to talk." Maxwell set the trash bag down slowly, keeping his composure. "About what?" he asked, calm but alert. The taller of the two men, pale, clean-shaven, hiding behind mirrored sunglasses, took a step forward. "Community enforcement," he said flatly. "You're in violation of neighborhood regulations. We're here to detain you until police arrive." Maxwell blinked, almost laughing. "Detain me?" Patricia crossed her arms, chin high. "You've ignored repeated notices. This has gone too far, Maxwell. We can't have someone undermining our community rules. These men are here to ensure compliance." Maxwell's tone stayed smooth but edged with warning. "And what exactly are the charges?" The second man, shorter, stockier, with a patchy beard, pulled out a folded piece of paper. "Property violations, non-compliance with HOA directives, unauthorized driveway modifications, loud gatherings, the list goes on." Maxwell's lips twitched in disbelief. "So that gives you the right to walk on my property and detain me?" The tall man squared his shoulders. "That's right. You can come peacefully, or we make it harder." That's when the neighborhood began to notice. Curtains shifted, doors creaked open. A couple of phones were already raised, recording. Maxwell didn't move. His voice carried across the driveway like steady thunder. "There's no such thing as community enforcement. You're not police, you're not trained, and right now, you're trespassing." Patricia's expression tightened. "Don't talk to me about authority. We've had real complaints, and I'm not about to let this neighborhood fall apart because of you." "You've picked the wrong driveway today," Maxwell said quietly, eyes locked on hers. The taller man took another step forward, boots grinding against concrete. "Sir, don't make this difficult. You're being non-compliant, and that means we have the right to escalate." Maxwell gave a half smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Escalate? You're standing on my property with no badge, no warrant, and no authority. You've got 30 seconds to walk away before this turns into something you regret." Patricia snapped back, frustration breaking through. "You think threats make this better? You've ignored letters, warnings, fines. The HOA exists to keep this community safe and respectable. People like you." She stopped mid-sentence, realizing what she'd almost said. Maxwell's eyes narrowed. "People like me," he repeated slowly. "Be careful how you finish that, Patricia." The shorter man shifted uneasily. "Look, it doesn't need to get ugly. Just come with us. Wait for the officers. Maybe they go easy." "Officers," Maxwell said. "That's funny, because the only thing official about you two is how ridiculous you look." Patricia straightened. "These men are authorized by the HOA board to ensure compliance. We don't answer to you." Maxwell laughed softly, shaking his head. "You brought two men in bargain bin tactical vests to enforce community rules. That's not how law works, Patricia. You're staging theater, and it's about to end." The crowd's whispers grew louder. Someone whispered, "Is this for real?" Maxwell didn't need to shout. He spoke low, but every word carried. Authority isn't claimed. It's earned, with training, with law, with accountability. And when the real police see this little performance, they'll have plenty of questions. The taller man's posture faltered, a flicker of doubt crossing his face. But pride held him still. Maxwell's gaze didn't waver. He'd seen arrogance collapse before, and he could tell this was only the beginning. If you thought that was tense, you haven't seen anything yet. Because when fake power meets real discipline, someone's bound to get exposed. And on that South Carolina street, every camera in the neighborhood was about to capture it. Now the air buzzed with whispers, phones lifted high, and the nervous shuffle of people realizing something serious was unfolding. Maxwell stood calm in his driveway, a pillar of control amid chaos. The taller impostor's jaw worked like a man chewing on anger. "You're not cooperating," he said. "We can use force if necessary." Maxwell didn't blink. "Force?" His tone was steady, dangerous in its calmness. "Let me be clear. You have no right to touch me. You're trespassing. You're impersonating law enforcement, and if you take one more step you'll regret it." Patricia Lockwood raised her voice, trying to sound authoritative but cracking under pressure. "You're not above the rules, Maxwell.
We built this neighborhood on order, and you've been undermining it since day one. Maxwell's eyes stayed locked on her. Order isn't built on fear, Patricia. It's built on respect, and that's something you've never understood. A murmur rippled through the crowd. Neighbors who'd once stayed silent were now inching closer, whispering. They were realizing this wasn't a man breaking HOA rules. This was harassment, broadcast live on half the block's phones. Patricia clenched her fists. You think you can twist this around? You've been a problem since you moved in. Ignoring letters, refusing inspections, refusing intimidation. Maxwell interrupted sharply. There's a difference. The shorter imposter tugged at his vest, sweat collecting along his brow. Maybe we should wait in the street, he muttered to his partner. This is getting out of hand. But the tall one refused to back down. His pride wouldn't let him. No, he snapped. We're finishing this. You, sir, he said to Maxwell, are under neighborhood arrest. A ripple of disbelief ran through the bystanders. Someone laughed nervously. Maxwell raised an eyebrow. Neighborhood arrest. His voice was low and cutting. That's not a thing. But the man doubled down, pulling a pair of shiny metal cuffs from his vest, the cheap kind you'd find in a costume store. He snapped them together with a loud clink, trying to make it sound official. Patricia stepped forward, desperate to save face. Do it, she ordered. Show him that rules still matter here. The taller man's face twitched. Ma'am, do it, she barked. He can't keep defying us like this. The moment felt suspended in time. Maxwell's body shifted slightly, his posture relaxed yet ready. His voice was ice. You're about to make the worst decision of your life. Neighbors could feel the shift. The street went silent. Even the birds seemed to stop. The tall man lunged forward, cuffs raised. What happened next happened fast. Maxwell sidestepped, grabbed the man's wrist and twisted, not with anger, but precision. In a single smooth move, he turned the man's momentum against him. There was a snap, a spin, and a metallic click. The cuffs that were meant for Maxwell were now locked around the fake enforcer's own wrists. Gasps broke the silence. Someone yelled. He flipped it on him. A teenager's voice shouted, "It's live. Everyone's seeing this." The taller man stumbled, now trapped, face red with humiliation. His partner stepped back, hands raised. Whoa, I'm out. I didn't sign up for this. Patricia's eyes widened, her confident mask cracking. You can't arrest him, she stammered. Maxwell stood tall, composed, every movement controlled. You're right, he said calmly. I'm not arresting him. I'm detaining him until the real law shows up. Because what he just did, impersonating an officer and attempting unlawful restraint, is a felony. The taller man's face drained of color. Felony, he whispered. 5 years in prison, minimum, Maxwell said flatly. Patricia tried to interrupt, her words trembling. You can't talk to us like that. I'm the HOA president, and that means nothing when you break the law, Maxwell replied. Your title doesn't put you above accountability. From the edge of the crowd, someone yelled, "That's right, we all saw it." Another voice joined in. She set this up. Patricia's face burned crimson as realization dawned. This was no longer about enforcing rules. It was about humiliation, broadcast live to everyone watching. The shorter imposter tore off his vest, shaking his head. I'm done, he said, voice shaking. Lady, you never told us this guy was law enforcement. Patricia froze. What are you talking about? Maxwell turned slowly toward her, voice level but lethal. That's because you didn't know, he said. You were too busy trying to control people to notice who you were messing with. Patricia's mouth opened, but no words came out. Around her, the murmuring crowd grew louder. A baby cried in the distance. And then, just as the weight of the moment settled, the first sound of sirens echoed down the block. Blue and red lights flickered through the trees, growing brighter with each second. The imposters turned pale. Patricia's lips trembled. Maxwell exhaled slowly, calm as ever. There, he said quietly. The real officers are here. The crowd parted as the patrol car pulled in, tires crunching over the curb. 2 uniformed officers stepped out, hands near their holsters, scanning the scene. A man in cuffs, one panicking, one woman frozen in disbelief. The standoff was over, but the reckoning was just beginning. Red and blue lights danced across every house on the quiet South Carolina block. The neighborhood that once whispered in fear, now watched in stunned silence. A patrol car rolled to a stop, its engine humming low. 2 officers stepped out, hands resting on their belts, eyes scanning the scene. They saw 2 men in fake tactical vests, one trembling, one already on his knees. Patricia Lockwood stood in the middle of the street, clutching her clipboard like it was a shield. Her self-proclaimed authority was slipping through her fingers. What's going on here? One officer demanded. Maxwell Stone didn't hesitate. He straightened, flipped open a worn leather wallet, and held it up. The gold badge inside gleamed under the flashing lights. Special Agent Maxwell Stone, Federal Bureau of Investigation, he said evenly. These individuals trespassed on my property, impersonated law enforcement, and attempted an unlawful detainment. I have full video evidence, recorded by at least 10 witnesses. The 2 officers froze for half a beat before standing taller. The younger one swallowed hard. FBI. Yes, Maxwell replied, calm but commanding. And I suggest you take statements before this gets worse for them. Patricia's mouth opened, but her voice faltered. He's lying. He's making this up. I'm the HOA president. I was protecting the community. Maxwell turned toward her slowly. his expression unreadable. Protecting them from what? Someone mowing on the wrong day. You staged a fake arrest, Patricia. That's not leadership. That's delusion. Gasps rippled through the crowd. The taller imposter blurted out. She told us it was authorized. Said the HOA had the same powers as local enforcement. The officer's eyebrows shot up. Ma'am, did you tell them that? Patricia's hands trembled. I just wanted order. He's been breaking rules for months, ignoring our citations. Maxwell stepped closer, lowering his voice just enough for her and the nearest cameras to hear. You don't get to call it order when you weaponize control. The law doesn't answer to your clipboard. The younger officer shook his head. Ma'am, you're under arrest for orchestrating impersonation of law enforcement and attempted unlawful detainment. Patricia's face twisted in disbelief. You can't arrest me. I run this neighborhood. I'm in charge. The officer's tone stayed flat. Not anymore. As they turned her around to cuff her wrists, she screamed, "This is harassment. I was doing my job." Maxwell's response was calm and final. Your job was supposed to serve your community, not rule it. The taller imposter dropped his fake vest like it was on fire. I didn't sign up for this, he muttered, shaking his head as officers moved in. The crowd, neighbors who'd once been too afraid to speak, now broke into applause. Some cheered, some just stood in quiet relief. The woman who once dictated mailbox colors and lawn lengths was being led away under real police lights. Patricia looked back over her shoulder, eyes wild. This isn't over, Maxwell. You'll regret this. He met her gaze, voice low and unshaken. It was over the second you stepped on my property. The patrol car door slammed. The sound echoed through the street like the closing of a long dark chapter. For the first time in months, the air felt lighter. The tension that had clung to the neighborhood finally lifted. One neighbor, an older man with folded arms, stepped forward. Agent Stone, we didn't know how to stop her. Maxwell nodded once. You don't fight control with silence. You fight it with truth. Another neighbor, a teenage boy filming everything, grinned. Sir, this is already trending online. You're going viral. Maxwell gave a small sigh. If that helps people see the difference between authority and arrogance, maybe that's not a bad thing. He turned toward his porch. The sunrise spilled gold across the rooftops, the kind of calm light that follows a storm. For the first time in years, Elmwood Street felt peaceful. At his door he paused and looked back at the street. Now quiet, free, funny, he murmured, all that noise, just to learn what real power looks like.